This is kind of a confusing deal. I don't know if you've looked at the financials I sent you. So
No.
there's like maybe 50 different tenants in this. It's all shared space. So it's not devised units. It's like I was talking with the owner this morning. He said it's literally yellow tape on the ground, maybe a couple like fences put up,
Uh-huh.
but there's a whole lot of tenants in there all using shared space. But
Is it a retail? Can you text me directly or direct message
yeah,
me or yeah,
yep,
privately message me the address so I can look it up?
yep, it's industrial.
It's industrial. Okay. Well, by the way, that's actually more common than you realize. It is strange, obviously, but it's actually more common than you think.
So I actually pitched it to another buyer already, and he actually told me to look into another group that does very similar things called Ready Space.
Okay, I like that. British Space. I've actually heard of them. I don't know what they own specifically, but I've definitely heard of the concept. Okay, so let's talk about this. First and foremost, okay, guys, just so I'm just going to talk this out loud so everyone understands, right? So this is a 66,000 square foot industrial property. And you mentioned there was 40 tenants in here, or about 40 tenants. And it's basically a big open space. Let's dive into the underwriting. So the seller wants how much money?
They want 8.2, and then they also said that they would go as low as 8 million.
Okay. So yeah, let's do 8.5 I always like to make sure I just do it like I'm doing the underwriting with our compensation included to run it. Due diligence, legal, civil's fine. Closing costs probably going to be like triple that. Syndication fee we can ignore for now. 25-year term, I agree. Interest rate, I agree. Loan to purchase, we're going to figure out if that makes sense. No, it does not based on current numbers, but probably 70, maybe 65. Operating deficit, that's weird.
Yeah, I have no idea. Some of the stuff, I don't know if it populated weird just from how I was working on the income and expenses.
Where is C25? Oh, okay, here. Okay, yeah, we're gonna figure something out because the numbers are inaccurate as of this moment. All right,
Like
let's.
the NOI there, that's the monthly NOI. It didn't take the annual. I don't know.
You said monthly NOI is where?
So in the summary page, that NOI, the 67,000, that should be monthly. Top right. Yep.
Got it. All right, let's figure it out. All these tenants.
Yes. As so some of them are taking up multiple spaces. This is copy and pasted from the rent roll that he gave me, and then I tried to edit it to fix what was needed. I think he factored in all his triple net expenses into the rent rates.
Hmm.
But so you'll see some people are paying like 140 a square foot. So it's all over the place.
So I think the problem was that,
Need to pull it down.
yeah. All right, well, now you're making 809 gross. You have 15% vacancy.
And then some of the rents is actually coming from parking. So there's 5 acres that he's using for parking and charging rent on.
It's weird that like this one doesn't show up. As long as you enter it in here, it should come up here. Right now, obviously this is
Right. I tried to pull those down and then
all right. So now that the income is at least, is this gross income or net income?
so that should be gross, I believe, because I don't think his I guess triple nets, I think he factored those into the base rent
No.
because he did not provide me any of that. I mean, I have the expenses
It
filled
is
out.
also weird, by the way, though, like you have tenants like this that have no income.
Exactly.
Is that because that's what he sent you and they have no income?
That's what he sent me. I don't know if they have no income, but there were a whole lot of blanks in his form. So
Yeah.
I just went through and lined it up as best I could.
I mean, look, it obviously looks like you did a decent job. I mean, the question really is like there, I would just tell him like, look at like I'm looking for these types of situations where like you have a new tenant with no income, right?
Right.
Diaper bank. Am I reading?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Anyways, but yeah, it's like they have no income, so it's very strange. So that I would look into because right now you're saying the property is generating 70 a month. So the NOI is not 67,000 a month. That's not the NOI, right?
Right.
This is the gross income. All right, now let's go to the expenses. So we did this. I'm guessing this is what he gave you.
Yes.
And he's telling you it's gross, and he's not mentioning anything for. Like any triple net expenses, the tenants don't pay anything.
He didn't distinguish what those would be. I mean, I have the expenses here, but I
Yeah.
couldn't figure out how he put those into the rent numbers.
So what I would try to do is at least try to figure out some way to make it up. Like make it up in this sheet where it's like if he's saying, "Hey, they're reimbursing for taxes,"
Hmm.
right? Then I would add a line item, reimbursements or something,
Right.
where at least there's some, I don't mean make up in the sense of like out of your imagination. I'm saying like make it up in here or create it here.
Justify.
Yeah,
Yeah.
justify it in the sheet. Because right now the sheet is saying that there is no reimbursements. I also like to confirm that like, okay, well, 220, by the way, this doesn't include like a lot of little things. So I want to just round and say like, okay, well, our income for the first year is 720 on this, right?
Hmm.
720, let's confirm it on a calculator. 720 times, well, you already have 15% for vacancy. Is he telling you there's 15% vacancy?
So he told me vacancy. So he just put $40,000 in vacancy in his expense sheet that he sent me.
Got it. You don't have to do it that way. Because essentially, what we're going to take this out anyway. So you can probably do like, I mean, for this type of property, you could probably do 10%. 40,000 isn't a lot. 40,000 a year in vacancy is nothing, right? I mean, that's so little space. Like what I'm not understanding though is that you see all these bottom spaces don't have a square footage.
So I think that's the truck parking.
Oh, okay, got it. Well, I mean, then the up top is only 49,000. When you're plugging in all these properties, right, or all these leases, sorry,
Right.
it just looks like it's a little off. Now, hold on. It looks like also this is only to one. Oh, okay, this is to the bottom. Yeah, 6 to 136. So that's including everything. And I think they're the same. Yeah, so it does it's picking up everything, but then here you have a bunch of square feet, like see like two oh, that's dollars. I apologize. Because you're saying the building's 66,000 feet, it's showing 49,000
Right. So I need to account for 17,000 more square feet.
somewhere. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Um, so anyways, I would look into that. I mean, I would try to figure out where that missing pieces are because that definitely plays a role. Because like when you go to the summary page, the price per square foot is 172, and that's not accurate technically.
Right.
Price per unit you can ignore, obviously. Yield. Okay, let's see now it says 621.
There it is. Yeah.
Okay. So it's saying that on day one cap rate right now is a 7% cap rate, but the one thing that we're not calculating is more expenses, right? So technically we should be having roughly 25% more in expenses, like 30, 10% for vacancy and then 25% more. So 720 times, actually, let me just make sure I'm doing this correctly. Because technically it'll be off of this number. So 848, that's what you want to do. 848, which is before the vacancy. 848, just want to make sure the numbers line up, times 0.65 in net income is 551, right? So
Mhm.
basically, off of this, you're looking for another 210,000 in expenses, which we have, which is 222. So you're actually okay. The only thing this isn't including is like capital expenditure or anything like that. But you can already see the operating deficit is gone.
Right.
Okay. The debt coverage ratio is still not at 1.3, so we probably can get a 7 right now. And that'll take us above 1.3. This is all accurate. So now the question is, we have a cash and cash that's very low. We have a price per square foot that's also not that great for this area. For Jacksonville, by the way, for a lot of the markets that are like, let's say, not the Miamis, New Yorks, or LAs of the world, the things that I'm looking at most importantly are price per square foot and the cap rate. Now, just because it's a nice cap rate right now doesn't mean it will be in the future. Like, what's as an example, Wes, what is this property? If this property was like one tenant, right, or maybe two or three tenants, and they were actually divided normally, what do you feel like rent could be?
Rent could definitely be around 12, I'd say, square foot plus triple net.
Okay, so then watch. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. So now what I like to look at is saying, okay, if hypothetically you confirm it is 66,000 feet, let's say you do.
Hmm.
Okay. Now you're saying you can rent for 12 a foot triple net, which means 66,000 times 12 is 792. Now we're still going to work off of like a 85 to 90% expense rate. You're going to have a little bit of expenses and small little things you're going to still have to take care of. So let's do times 0.9. So that's a 712. Let's call it, let's even just say 700 actually triple net. Okay.
Hmm.
700 triple net. Now, 700 triple net in this market, what do you feel like is a comfortable cap rate that things are selling for?
7.2. I'd feel very comfortable with the low seven.
A low seven. Okay, so I'm gonna do 7.5 to be conservative. Okay, so 700,000 divided by 7.5%. Okay, which equals actually, hold on, let's do this. At let's say a 7.5% cap equals 9.33333. 9.33 million. Okay, so the future value of this deal, right? Pro forma, right? Like again, if we're doing all these different rights, we're gonna have a starter, which we're gonna work on in a second. Current and pro forma. We just ran the numbers on pro forma, which is a 700 triple net, 7.5% cap, 9.333 mil. That's our pro forma, pretty comfortably. And again, 60. What's the price per square foot in your market?
So the going for something like this would be around 140, I'd say.
Okay, so then now we're going to confirm on around 140, which is 9,333 divided by 66,000 feet is 140. A 141 per
Okay.
foot. Love when that works out. Okay.
Right.
So that means it's confirming our assumptions, right? Like it's like if hypothetically this number and all of a sudden you do the math on this price per square foot, just because the cap rate's good and it says 200 a foot, there's no way it's selling for 200 a foot.
Right.
So that's why like it has to, both of them have to make sense, right? So anyways, 140 a foot, which we like. Okay. Now, based off of current circumstances, where do you think price per square foot in your head makes sense?
So with it all being short term, I think mainly short term, it's going to be probably in the 120s to 130 range.
Okay, great. So we're gonna estimate 120 to 130. Now that's a range that we're gonna give for a price per foot. We're gonna see if we're gonna see if that makes sense in a second. Okay. And a
Hmm.
cap rate on this is definitely gonna have to be north of 8.
Right.
Okay. Like this is definitely gonna have to be north of 8% cap because of the funkiness of the deal.
Yep.
Okay. Now let's do some math. Now, based off of everything, this property's only like let's say 850, roughly 850 gross times 0.65. Call it a 550 NOI. So 550 NOI. Okay. Now on a 550K NOI, divided into an 8% cap rate, what do you get?
6875.
Okay, I got 6.9. Call it the same thing. 6,875 mil. Now we take the 6.8 and divide it by 66,000. What do you get?
104.
Yep, same. So this, what I'm actually noticing is that this will actually sell for probably between 100 and 110 a foot.
Right.
You see how I'm coming up with that?
Yep.
Because they both matter, and you have to play both cards. You can't just play one card. Like, oh, well, it's a 9 cap. Doesn't matter. You have to play both cards. Could it sell at an 8% cap rate and hypothetically both be true, where this could be 120 a foot? Yes, it could be an A cap and 120 a foot, and it probably could sell, right? But because it needs, like, most importantly, it needs to be a cap rate range because of the issues with the building currently of around 8. That's what's bringing this down. Now let's go up with a starter. So if we know this to be true, we're probably going to sell it around the 6.8 range. Comfortably, 6,875, somewhere around that $7 million number. Where would you start? Did they also say seller financing was open or no?
Yes, as long as they got 4 million at closing.
Oh, that's nice. $4 million, so half down. Well, look, by the way, everyone suggests 50% down, which means that they might be negotiable, but we'll try. But okay, let's talk about it. So where's our starter coming in at? By the way, everyone else can submit your starters. Submit your starters. Where do you think we're going to be? Give me the information above.
I was guessing 5.1 million.
Okay, how'd you come up with that?
I kind of took 25% off the value
20% off the value. Okay.
of the current value. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. 5.1, so basically just a quick 20% off the number.
Right.
Okay. Awesome. Anybody else want to submit a starter? Suggesting a starter. If it's any different, or if you're agreeing with the 5.1, you can put in the chat. Everyone's saying 5.1. Khalib said 6.4. Amani says 5.1. Because what's important is, like, again, we are determining that we believe the value currently right now is around 6.8 to 7 million bucks, right? In that range. I agree with you, Wes, that you're probably going to need to be in the fives, right? So something like a 5 or a 5-5, something like that is pretty comfortable. 5-2-5, 5-1's fine. If you want to just use quick, basic, 20% off the number, quick and easy, fine. I always like to round, just make it a roundabout number. So 5-5-2-5, 5-5, somewhere in that range. I don't think you can go wrong. Now, this will be a straight number, right? This is a straight up number. Let's talk about seller 5. What would you offer?
How do we know without knowing the terms? I mean, if we like,
What do you mean? How would we know without knowing the terms?
I mean, I guess I would like to define the terms before I'd ask first before I submitted an offer. Like, hey, would you guys do 5%?
5%, you mean interest only?
Yeah, hold. Would you guys hold the paper at 5%?
So what he heard from
the
seller was what specifically, Wes?
What I heard is that he just wants
You're a little laggy.
sorry, he wants 4 million at closing.
Got it. Okay, so the only thing we know to be true is that the seller wants 4 million at closing. Okay, which we all know is probably not going to fucking happen. Okay,
Yeah.
so just like we have a starter offer at 5-1 or 5 or 5-5, somewhere in that range, which we all can agree is somewhere around where we would need to be, right? To sell this all day long, and if they agree to it, heck, we're probably going to wholesale this thing. Who knows, right? But we're in the money for sure. Okay, but with seller financing, it's exactly like a starting offer. The whole purpose of it, though, is to just pre-negotiate some decent terms that could be lucrative. If he wants 50%, what do you think we should start with? I typically say this thing. I typically say these terms all the time. What do you
3
think?
million cash.
So, sorry, you're saying what number?
Put 3 million down at closing.
Okay, how'd you come up with 3 million?
I just was following kind of your half, and I just added a little more to it.
Okay,
I ask for 20% down.
Yeah, so I was gonna say I'm very commonly saying 20% down.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And then come up to 5-5.
Yeah, and you could say exactly, or you could do 5 million straight, or 5-1 straight, or we could do 5-5 with seller financing, 20% down, 5% IO, 5 years. Because think about it, if he agreed to these terms, this is a home run of a deal. And if he agreed to 5-5, 20% down, and 5% IO, that is a killer deal.
Are we doing that based off of the starter offer?
Yes.
Well, usually with the seller financing, don't you usually offer them more?
Slightly more. You can offer them slightly more. It's not a have to. You don't have to do anything, right? So it's like, for me, I like to go like, for this one, I'll say like, hey, I could do I have a buyer. They're willing to do maybe 2 different options for you. We could either do 5 million straight up, close in 60 days probably, maybe 75 or 90 days depending on their due diligence, or we could do a seller financing deal at 5.5 million, 20% down, 5% IO over 5 years. Which do you feel like would be better suited for you?
This one was at an 8 million ask, right?
8 million ask, correct.
Yeah. So then how do you plan the rest of this out? If this is the wrong time to talk about it, let me know. But if you're submitting your starter 5-5, I'm like, dude, I'm at 8.
So again, you're talking about seller, because here's the thing, right? You have a seller who's interested in selling, they want 8 million. This is not uncommon, they want too much money. Okay. This is not an uncommon factor. Okay. Yeah. Now, they want too much money, that's okay. Now the question is, are they negotiable? Like, we ran the numbers and we believe that it's not even worth 8. We believe it's worth somewhere around 7 million as is. Given the circumstances, we believe it's worth around 7. Now look, if you hypothetically felt more comfortable and you wanted to come in at maybe 5 or 6 with the starting offer and then 6.5 million with seller financing or something like that, so be it. But it doesn't mean we don't submit the starting offer and try to see if there's any more room here.
So it's actually kind of funny. So on the phone call with him, he had mentioned that back in February, he got an offer for 7.2 million.
Do you know why he didn't take it, Wes?
He said that he just was hoping to get 8 million for it.
What I would also say is just out of curiosity, when they say, why did you take it? They say, well, I was hoping to get 8 million. So, okay, just to clarify, if you got an offer again for around the 7 million range like you did before, does that mean you'd still decline it today?
I did follow up with that, and he said, yeah, he said that it takes 8 million for him to walk away.
Okay, great. So hold on. I just want to be very clear now. Now that we understand that, which you basically then submitted some type of starting offer, okay? So I'm not going to then come back and tell him 5-1. That would be dumb, okay? I want to be very clear. I'm not suggesting that, after he's confirmed, because you basically, whenever you suggest a price over the phone, that's a starting number. That is a starting number. Now, again, how you present it can be slightly differently, but that's, to me, when you say, okay, would you be open to an idea of a $7 million number? And he says no, that's a starting number, right? That's a starting offer. So I would not go back. So now that we know that, that's fine. So basically this has been done already. Now the question then becomes, the only way I can maybe work with this a little bit is you could say, okay, great. how do we make sense of the number? Maybe we can go to a little north of 7 and change, right? So he did 7.2. You can say like, hey, well, I have a 7.5. How do we make 7.5 work? Okay. I'm just going to erase this side here. And we're going to do all my numbers over here. We're going to see how can we make 7.5 work? So 7.5. Okay. No, hold on. 7.5. Let's see if we can make this work. What seller financing terms could we use to make this really lucrative? Well, let's do some math also. At 7.5, what's our price per square foot? And what's our cap rate? 550 divided into 7 million, or 7.5, sorry.
So I got 114 a square foot.
114 a foot?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 114 a foot's not bad. Not horrible. And then cap rate is 7.3. Again, not bad. We're somewhere in a range. We're like, maybe we could get this deal. So I'm going to go back to the spreadsheet real quick. Let's try to maximize these numbers real quick. Hold on. Okay, so let's try 7.5 and get paid on 7.5. 7.5, day one cap rate strong, even though that's a little inaccurate. Let's go to the income page and raise this to 15 just to make our numbers are a little bit more. So at a 7.1 cap at a 7.5, this is what I look at, guys. It's like, okay, well, is there any future ability of grossing, making more money? The reason why, by the way, the IRR is very low, Wes, is why do you think that?
Because of the missing data, the 17,000 square feet we're missing.
We're missing that, and then there's also no pro forma income. We don't have totals here, so that affects it because now the sheet's saying there can't be any more money made other than what is currently in place.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Which it's very hard to figure out the pro forma with.
Well, the way again I would do pro forma is that I would just go to income and I would say, hey, we go to this top rung and we say one tenant. And we say market rent is going to be like we talked about, right? 12 a foot times 66,000. And obviously you got to confirm all that, which would be 792 divided by 12. Okay, yeah. So 66,000 a month. Quarter to market. We have one tenant. Yeah. And quarter to market will be, let's just say at the end of 5, let's say 18. Right? So 66,000. And then everything else would be zeroed, right? So then we just do a 0 at 18. Okay, this is suggesting that no one's on a longer lease than 4.5 fucking years from now. Okay.
Yeah.
Henry, what's quarter to market?
Quarter to market is essentially saying when. So like we deal in quarters on this worksheet. So it's saying like when will the rent change? This is saying 18 quarters from now, which is 4.5 years. So I'm just going to take this and I bring this all the way down and say I'm going to vacate the whole building. Tell everyone to go shove it. The one thing you're going to have to work on, by the way, is the outside parking, because I don't know if that's the case. So this is basically now going to 0 everybody at 18 quarters. Oh, I need a 0. That's fine. How about $1? All right, we'll do $1. I guess that'll be the only. I guess you can do 0.001. There you go. Aha, we figured out how to outsmart the worksheet. Perfect. Okay, so then as an example, I mean, not that I would want to do this because I'm going to break your sheet, but like what I would do is you can go file, make a copy of this, just so I don't break your sheet. But I'm going to break the sheet in a second because you're not supposed to do this. But anyways, you go to income. Do not do this, okay? Please, for the love of God. I got to figure out why it's not working, but just for time purposes on this training, I'm going to break the sheet real quick. There you go. Anyways, now you'll see that like this is where the income is. And now the difference though here is that the only thing I'm going to change also is that I'm going to make it triple net because this is saying it's gross. Right? So we would add in probably, let's just say right now we have let's say 300,000 in expenses, so add another 25 grand on top. So that would be like, what is that, 90? That means 91,000. So that includes triple net expenses. And then obviously you're still gonna, then I'm gonna go over here and then I'm breaking the sheet. So don't ever do this. I'm gonna figure out the reason why it's not working like that. But if you ever see that it's not working appropriately, I'm gonna bring these down to 5 because that obviously is still gonna have some vacancy rate. But it's saying now $1 million. Yeah, that makes sense because that means the expenses are also going to calculate to 250,000. That's fine. So now we can go here. Now you can see, right? We said 9.3. It says 9.9. That's because we did an 8 cap. Well, it's saying our net operating income is 794. Let's figure out. Let's go to income. Let's drop it just a smidge. Let's do like 85. All right, this is about where we want it to be, right? Because I you know what I mean? Just a little bit closer.
Right.
right? So, anyways, this is saying now if this was going to be the case, we got like a single tenant, two tenants, three tenants in there. Now it'll be worth 9.1 million, 7 and change NOI. We agree with all this. This is what we just wrote down on the board. Right now, we're saying the internal rate of return is around 14.5. Not terrible, but this is also a 14.5 on the premise of a 7.5 million purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, still a little not exactly accurate. I mean, now look, hold on. We could do a 70, maybe even 75. 70. Yeah. So, anyways, that helps a little bit. We can do a little bit less here. Now, also, by the way, guys, this is a traditional deal. If we can get seller financing on this deal, let's just say let's say at 6% interest only and 75% or 25% down, all of a sudden the internal rate of return is starting to go up, right? Now, if we do IO, right, all of a sudden our debt payments can be very strong, right? We can be cash flowing pretty heavily day one, right? I mean, internal rate of return is 18. It's not a terrible deal. But now, obviously, when you're running your numbers at 8.5 and you're talking to other investors, again, this is going to have to be probably 65. This is 7%. Oh, that's why. It's because the amortization. I apologize. 65. Yeah. So, anyways, now you're here. So this is back to where we were, right? Like again, based on the price he wants and you collecting a 6% commission, you're trying to sell a deal at a 6.25 cap rate. It's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you're probably going to maybe get an $8 million number on this, an 8 million. Not even a 7 cap. It's just going to be. But anyways, now the sheet again. I know I kind of broke it, so be careful with this copy here. I'll send it back to you. This is a broken sheet version.
All good. I appreciate it.